Today, we're uncovering the secret world of your body's most powerful messengers, hormones. Seriously, they're the invisible puppet masters behind your mood, your energy, pretty much the whole shebang. So, let's dive in.
Okay, so your body has two main ways of communicating. First, you've got the nervous system. It's like firing off a text message. It's electrical and it is lightning fast. But then there's this other network, the endocrine system, and that's our focus today. Think of it more like the postal service. It's slower, it uses chemical messengers, but it handles all the big long-term projects like your growth, metabolism, and even reproduction.
So how exactly does this chemical postal service work? Let's take a closer look at the body's other network.
Right, at the heart of this entire system are the chemical messengers themselves, the hormones. So what exactly are they, and how do they, talk to the rest of the body?
In the simplest terms, a hormone is just a chemical instruction. A bunch of cells will make it, release it into your bloodstream, and then it travels around until it finds its specific target. Its job? To deliver a very clear order.
But here's a good question. Does every single hormone just shout its message to the entire body? Well, not really. It's more like some messages are broadcast far and wide, while others are just quiet whispers between next-door neighbors.
First up, you've got your classic endocrine communication. This is our postal service. A hormone gets dumped into the bloodstream and travels a pretty long way to deliver its message to a target cell that could be on the complete other side of the body.
Then there's something called paracrine communication. This is way more local. Think of it like passing a memo to the person in the cubicle next to you. The chemical message just kind of drifts through the local fluid to affect cells right there in the immediate area. No long-distance travel needed. And finally, you have autocrine communication. This is basically the body's version of writing a to-do list for yourself. A cell literally releases a hormone that then turns around and binds to receptors on its own surface, telling itself what to do. Pretty cool, right?
So where do all these incredible messengers actually come from? Let's take a little tour of Hormone HQ. And I gotta tell you, you might be surprised to find out that the hormone factories aren't just where you'd think they are.
Now, you've probably heard of the major players, right? The classic endocrine glands. We're talking about the pituitary gland, the thyroid, the pancreas, the adrenals. These are the well-known hormone headquarters, the usual suspects.
But, and this is where the story gets really interesting, for a long time we thought these classic glands were the only hormone factories. Turns out that's not even close to the whole picture.
Get this. Tissues all over your body are basically moonlighting as hormone producers. Your own fat cells release a hormone that tells your brain when you're full. Your heart cells release hormones to help manage your blood pressure. Your gut is actually a massive endocrine organ, constantly sending out chemical messages. It's incredible.
Okay, so once a hormone is out there, whether it came from a classic gland or one of these surprise sources, how on earth does it find its exact target in a body made of trillions of cells? And how does it deliver the right instructions? Well, it all comes down to the message and the mailbox.
So this breaks down the two main flavors of hormones. First, you've got your hydrophilic or water-soluble ones. They have no problem traveling through the blood, they dock onto a receptor on the outside of a cell, and they trigger a really fast response. Then you've got the hydrophobic or fat-soluble hormones. They need a little help, like a protein chauffeur, to travel in the blood, but they can slip right through the cell's membrane and find their mailbox inside the cell. This usually leads to a slower but more lasting change.
All right. This brings us to a super important point. With all these powerful chemical messages flying around, how does the body keep everything in balance? How does it stop the system from just going haywire? I mean, how does it know when to just say, okay, that's enough?
Well, the answer is a beautifully elegant system called a feedback loop. And honestly, it works just like the thermostat in your house. When the room gets warm enough, the heat switches off. Your body does the exact same thing with hormones.
This amazing, self-regulating cycle is called negative feedback. So, for example, your thyroid gland releases a hormone to speed up your metabolism. Once your metabolism gets up to the right speed, that very change sends a signal back to the thyroid to, hey, ease up a bit. It's a perfect system for keeping everything running just right.
So, you might be wondering, how do we know all of this in such detail? Well, it's because scientists and doctors have come up with some incredibly clever ways to basically listen in on these chemical conversations and measure these invisible messengers.
In the early days, scientists used something called bioassays, which basically meant they measured the effect a hormone had on something. But the methods we have now are just mind-blowing. Techniques like RIA and ELISA are amazing. They use these custom-built antibodies to literally find and count individual hormone molecules. It gives doctors this incredibly precise snapshot of what's going on inside you.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really fascinating thought. Since these chemical messengers are quietly running so much of our internal world, our metabolism, our growth, our mood, our appetite, our energy, just how much of our daily experience, of who we feel we are, is actually being guided by their silent, invisible work?